What's up, guys? Welcome to the WSU Democrats Podcast. I am Ethan Bishop, the president of the organization, as well as a philosophy major.
I'm Vaughn. I'm the vice president. I'm a cybersecurity major.
I'm Monty. I'm new here, and I'm an accounting major.
So I'll just go over the bullets I want to talk about. So Zohran Mamdani is going to be the mayor of New York. Talk about how he gets called a communist by far-right news and define some terms and talk about what he really stands for. The Israel-Hamas peace deal that just happened, those hostages just came back, and we'll talk about where we think that's going to go, how that's going to work out. The Nobel Peace Prize was awarded not to President Trump. We'll get his reaction on that. And then just in general, the administration, how we can stand up to it. And in this example, airports across the U.S. are refusing to play the Kristi Noem video that blames Democrats for the shutdown. So just kind of refusing to play far-right propaganda, because that's exactly what it is.
Gotcha.
So Zohran Mamdani, we'll start with him. First of all, I like him. I follow him on Instagram. He posts he seems like a very, very down-to-earth person. And he gets called a communist a lot. He's been called a communist by Trump and other people in the administration.
And a terrorist.
And a terrorist, yeah. And they attack him for being Muslim, and he's going to turn New York into a Muslim city. And, I don't know why he would do that, but that's what they think. So they call him a communist, and so what communism is essentially the opposite of capitalism, which is what currently is how the U.S. runs. Communism is the government owns and operates pretty much everything, eliminates social class, very much about equality. And Zohran Mamdani is not a communist. He calls himself a democratic socialist, which is similar but different. And democratic socialism is you vote on socialist policies, which are similar to communist policies, but not the same. And just being democratic about it means you vote for it. Doesn't mean anyone just gets to put these into place. So, even if he, comes forward with these policies people don't like, well, they still have to vote on it and see if it ends up going through or not. So it's similar to communism, but different. And I watched a video on Fox News, just them calling him a communist, and it's just that statement in itself is not true. And I want to get your guys' opinions on that.
Well, I kind of think like with communism versus democratic socialism, communism, at least when you see like in China and in Russia and other places, that's like forced government control of you and whatever is the happenings and the means of production and that sort of thing.
Like authoritarianism.
Yeah, whereas democratic socialism would be more like the government can do centralized planning, and it can put things together in this way, and it can distribute resources as it will be. It's just that won't be distributed by a totalitarian government. It'll be distributed by democratically elected officials, or direct democracy, like when you have ballot initiatives actually on the ballot they're literally voting for. That when I hear democratic socialism, at least in the way that it could be, in the way that I describe myself as a democratic socialist, that's what I mean, is I want to be able to vote these things into power through ballot initiatives, through candidates, and have a society where we're all provided for, where our healthcare is provided for, our education, all that kind of thing. And with him backing off of certain things, like he still calls himself a democratic socialist, which I like. But there has been some rhetoric that he's like backed off on. Like I think he would say, or he has said, globalize the intifada. And he said just different things like that he's kind of backed off on. I'm curious how much of him backing that off is him actually believing that his past comments were not true, or that he actually disagreed with them, or is he just saying that to get votes and to seem a little bit more appeasing? either could make sense. I mean, if you're running for office, it seems like almost you're going to say things just to appease people. But in my opinion, if you're doing that, I feel like you shouldn't be running for office. You should be saying what you think is the truth. And if they think that means you're unelectable, then that's really up to them, and they shouldn't elect you in that case. But yeah, I just don't like it when they go after people like this and they call them a communist when it's literally just basic common sense things that he's advocating for. And I think they just know that it sounds too good to people to have their rents or their rents capped, to have free buses, to have all this kind of thing. It sounds too good for them. So they say, oh, he's a communist. Oh, Andrew Cuomo going out there. Oh, he's so dangerous. He can't handle Trump. He's not ready. All this kind of shit.
And you want to talk about communism. I mean, you look at Trump pulling funding from PBS and NPR and attacking the media outlets that go after him, talk negatively about him. That's very much communistic, right? You have people controlling the opposition and strict media control. Like, that's communism.
It can be. Say that, yeah, of course, the right-wing Republican politicians and pundits, I think no matter what, they'll always use these labels to is my mic quality okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, just pop filter's broken. They'll always use like these labels like this to go after any progressive politicians, candidates, figures. And I don't think it's is important to try and argue semantics about labels, because of course, policy is the most important thing here, and Zohran Mamdani's policies and how he's like expressed those policies that he wants to enact is the reason why he's become the Democratic candidate for the mayor and likely to win the election this next month. And I don't think it's as important to sort of worry about differences between social democrat, democratic socialist, communist. What's the most important is the policies you want, and that they will benefit the working class people in New York and elsewhere for other politicians. And I may not even be that important of a distinction, because what's important to remember is that democracy should be central and essential part of socialism. So, authoritarian governments can call themselves socialist or communist, but it's just a label.
Yeah.
So did Nazi Germany.
And I like what you said about it doesn't matter if it's communism or social democracy, as long as the policies are good, that's what matters. Because I feel like Republicans, especially seems like the older generation, they'd say the opposite. Even if it sounds good, oh, that's socialism. So that's their little cheat code, is like, oh, if it sounds good, oh, no, that's socialism. Because socialism has been done badly in the past, they think that it couldn't possibly be done good here. Yet when you look at what is Social Security, what is Medicaid, what is Medicare, what is all of these things, these are all like socialist programs that they say is good, and that they themselves don't want cut. They don't want their Social Security cut. They don't want their Medicare cut. But then when any other sort of service that could actually benefit people's lives and make a real tangible difference and make our lives a little bit less like a rat race, where life is harsh, brutish, and short, it's rather, a situation where we can actually get ahead and get what we need. So, yeah.
Yeah, the labels can be really harmful, and like you said, it comes down to the policies, and, the democratic process will prove true in November. He's going to be elected mayor because the people of New York liked his policies, and they voted for him. But, I mean, we just saw that today when we were running our booth. People are coming up, and they're not really sure if they want to join because they think of what the Democratic label stands for. And, you were saying, you can have all these sorts of views. You can have conservative views, and you can still join the group and come to the podcast and all that. And, people just see Democrat, and they start thinking all these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what's bad. I mean, with the Democratic Party, like, you don't want to be associated with the bad part of the Democratic Party, but Zohran Mamdani proved this by running in the Democratic primary. He wasn't going to be like, no, I'm not going to be some like write-in or independent candidate. I'm going to go straight through the Democratic primary and make it my own. And that's what I love that he did. That not a lot of people do this. They just think the Democratic Party just is what it is, and it has no malleability to it. There's no spin you can put on it. There's nothing you can do to make it better or to make it your own. Whereas it seemed like Zohran Mamdani saw that he had to win the Democratic primary. That's what you have to do in order to have a good chance at that mayoral spot a lot of the time. That's not to say it's all the time and that there's never a case where a third party might win, because in like the local level, I guess you could see like a viable third party candidate that is actually more left and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be great to see him win. It'll just be sort of a big in the terms of national politics, right? Kind of like a referendum to say, yeah, someone like this can be popular, maybe not everywhere, but it is a huge deal in New York City.
Yeah. I just want to end on that, a lot of his policies, he's focusing on trying to make, just very broad, trying to make life better for the citizens of New York. And I really hope he accomplishes that. We'll see what happens. But, these Republicans are, I guess far right, whatever, are accusing him of, being socialist and all these things. And it's like, well, they're socialist policies, but they're going to help people. Like, what do you have if you're going to contradict it, you should have your own plan of what you're going to come up with. But he's just trying to make their lives better. So we'll see. Yeah. Oh, we'll go to the Israel-Hamas peace deal. So this deal was created by Trump and other U.S. allies, and it's very much a take-it-or-leave-it deal to Hamas. They didn't really leave it up to negotiation. They just wrote out this peace deal, sent it to Hamas, and it's very much, accept the terms or you're going to be crushed. So there's different phases of the deal, and as of right now, Hamas has accepted phase one. They didn't accept the whole deal, though. They want to negotiate. There's a lot of things they don't like in there, but they agreed to phase one, which is return all the hostages on both sides. And I think Israel pull their military back just a little bit. So we'll see. Only time will tell. But overall, I think this is good. I'd never really say anything good about Trump, but he did make this peace deal happen. Maybe he could have done it sooner. Maybe someone else could have ended it sooner. He, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But he made this happen, and as of right now, it's a ceasefire, and they released the hostages. So that much is good.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that, yeah, he got the rest of the hostages, but I think Biden got, 80% of the hostages already, the living hostages, out of there in his term. So, it is something to commend Trump for, that he was able to get those hostages out. And with the other parts of the deal, I'm just curious as to why they finally accepted and gave Hamas. Maybe they're just tired of being destroyed and that kind of thing. Because I was one who was like, you know what, as long as Hamas has the hostages, I honestly want them to get the hostages almost at any means necessary. Not to say we should be bombing children or doing anything like that, but I basically thought, yeah, it's okay to go after Hamas to get the hostages out, and then when you're done with that, and don't overdo it. Don't blow up a bunch of refugee camps just to get a couple of Hamas members, and to just kind of do that sort of thing, and think that they need to be eradicated, which I still kind of do.
I definitely agree with the sentiment there. It is kind of strange at first to hear that, Trump was the one that kind of pushed for this, but I don't think it's out of the goodness of his heart. I think it just kind of goes to show just how unpopular this one-sided war, genocide, has gotten in the U.S. and around the world. Just, based on pollings, Americans' opinions on what the Israeli state represents and how justified they are to be occupying that land opinions, public opinion in the U.S. at least has dramatically shifted over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I like how you said he didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. I think that's very much true. And this could also be the way they wrote it as a take it or leave it deal. It could be the final say as if, hey, we really tried to negotiate with them one last time. They didn't take it. This is a terrorist group. You can't negotiate with them. They have to be eradicated. Mm-hmm. And that could just be kind of their final say if this gets thrown in the trash, to just kind of go full steam ahead, if they haven't already.
And just bomb the shit out of Palestine.
Yep.
If they say, oh, yeah, well, we got the hostages now, we got what we want now, we can just destroy. I could totally see him doing that.
Yeah.
Like, we got the hostages now, there's not really any collateral if we just destroy this entire place because, hey, only the left likes the Palestinians anyway. It's not like many Republicans are going to care, which is true. Not many of them are. So, yeah, that could be the pretext to doing something like that. Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if you guys checked out the booths a few tables down from us. Did you, Monty, see either of those?
I had to get to class, and then after class, I just went home. I was hungry, honestly, but remember there were, college Republicans and what was it?
Young Americans for Freedom.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. And I checked out their booth, and he had a whole little poster board graphic, and it just had a bunch of pictures of basically dead people. And it was, the whole thing was about October 7th, the massacre on October 7th, and just all these dead people shows, Hamas soldiers stepping on an Israeli soldier's head, and, basically just telling you October 7th, it was terrible, and civilians were killed in their homes and all that, which is obviously true. It was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. But I feel like a lot of pro-Israel outlets like to weaponize October 7th and say, well, they did this terrible thing, so now we can do this terrible thing. And I asked the guy about that. I was like, well, I'm certain you can go online and find the exact same pictures or same genre of dead people, but dead Palestinians, not dead Israelis, and they were killed, women and children, all that from the IDF. It goes both ways. And he was trying to tell me that he doesn't think, death or, war is terrible, and it's such a concentrated area in Gaza, which is true, and it's hard to avoid civilian casualties. But I just think that a lot of people use October 7th as an excuse for Israel to do whatever they want.
9/11. Never forget. 9/11.
Exactly.
Let's invade Iraq. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, go ahead.
No, that's just what I was going to say. I was like, yeah, exactly. I wrote that on here. It said 9/11 justification. It's like just like how they see October 7th, and they try to use that to justify pummeling Gaza and that sort of thing. Obviously, George Bush used 9/11 as a justification to arguably rightfully go into Afghanistan, but then go into the completely wrong country, Iraq, with no evidence that they have any links to weapons of mass destruction that they could use on the U.S. It's a story as old as time where you take some bit of cruelty and say, oh, they're savages, let's go after them. Which in Hamas's case, it is true that they're savages. Like, I would even say that.
Yeah, they are a terrorist organization. But
that doesn't mean that we should bomb a bunch of civilians and kill them and everything. We should still go after Hamas. And now that the hostages are freed, I guess that's just one more corridor to get Hamas, because now they don't have that leverage. Mm-hmm. But also we don't. I guess you said we released our prisoners as well.
Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm curious.
Israel had way more hostages than Hamas did.
Interesting. Well, maybe that's what they were calculating. Oh, maybe if we get all these hostages out, we're low on men. Then we'll get some back pay with these men that can help us attack Israel. Maybe that was their intention. I don't know.
Who knows? And yeah, unfortunately, Hamas is the main governing body of Palestine. It wasn't always like that. But I guess that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, as the sole governing body, I think they still deserve to be at the negotiating table. Whether or not you think they should be considered terrorists, who else is supposed to negotiate?
Yeah, that's very true. It's either negotiate with them or, eliminate them and then have the third party come through, the other side, the winner, come through and then decide what's best for all the Palestinians.
Well, and even then, what I think would happen is they would take out Hamas and that sort of thing. All of the people there would support Hamas because they all were getting destroyed and that sort of thing. And then what is it called? It's called like the Palestinian Authority or something.
Yes,
I forget the
Palestinian
exact
Authority.
I forget the exact
There was
name.
the PLO.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like they would just then use that and say, oh, well, you guys represent the Palestinian people now, whereas they don't. And I'm pretty sure they're super unpopular with them. So either they just kill off Hamas completely and then just do whatever they want with the Palestinian people, or they could kill off Hamas, try to work with the Palestinian Authority, or just work with Hamas and try to get some sort of deal. But the thing is, I think that Hamas should not govern Gaza, but then again, that's not something that can necessarily be dealt with in one fell swoop, because like I said, if we take out Gaza or we take out Hamas like that and just leave it, then you're just going to have a power vacuum, and then I think they're just going to create the same thing. So it takes a more measured approach, and I think that some of what Israel had been doing, like just eliminating Hamas, is right, but there needs to be some sort of de-radicalization of the actual people who support Hamas, and that's not going to happen through bombing them to death, because that's going to radicalize them even more.
Yeah,
exactly.
So.
And I should correct myself. I said governing body Palestine. It is just Gaza, not really the West Bank.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I wanted to mention is the guy I was talking to at the booth, he kept putting quotes, air quotes, whenever he said Palestinian, Palestine, Palestinian people. And the person next to me asked, well, why do you keep quoting that? And then I took his little flyer, and he basically thinks that Palestine has never, a Palestinian people, Palestinian government has never really existed. It's never really been recognized. And he didn't say it outright, but he's almost using that as if like they didn't really exist, so we can kind of treat them however they want, or however we want, And
just like trans people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like low-key eliminationist rhetoric.
Oh, yeah. So I need to do more research on this personally. But World War II, I remember, pretty sure, World War II is when we split up, Allies split up the Middle East and, drew border lines straight through towns of, and said, this one side's Palestine and this one side is Israel, and that kind of started. I mean, it's been going on for years and years. So, but I don't think that whether they were a valid governing body or valid, world recognized state, means that they aren't, the same laws don't apply to them, world laws and that sort of thing.
And I mean, you'd never want to say that someone's a legitimate, like I wouldn't want to say Trump is a legitimate leader even, but you'd have to. Or like I wouldn't want to say that Putin is a legitimate leader or Hamas, but they kind of are, and that's just kind of how we go from there. And just not recognizing them doesn't make their influence cease to exist, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
If you guys don't want to add anything else?
Nope. You probably can move on.
So the Nobel Peace Prize. So this was awarded to Maria Corina Machado. She is from Venezuela, and she has been fighting the current Venezuelan dictator that's been in power since 2013, Nicolas Maduro. And she's been organizing people and trying to overrule him and get the country back into a democratic form of government. She's been doing a really good job of that, especially in Venezuela of all countries. It's a lot easier to just go out and kill people like this. So, because she's had multiple, who knows how many death threats, and she's still, is not slowing down, speaking her mind. So she very much deserved it. Trump was somehow, I don't know if he was genuinely contender for the Peace Prize. Obviously, Bibi Netanyahu said that he should be given the prize, but that's just from one genocidal maniac to another pedophile. So, so I just wanted to quote Trump because a lot of things he says is ridiculous, but this is just like, we know he has a big ego, but it's just ridiculous. So, so he said that the person who actually got the Nobel Peace Prize called me and said, "I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it."
Yeah.
I mean, that makes you think. I don't think that's what she really said. And then he goes on to say, "I didn't say then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice." So he's saying, like, I didn't win, but, you know, the winner says I should have won, and she probably would have given it to me if I asked. I mean, how much of a dick do you have to be to really say that about someone?
I was an honorable mention.
Yeah.
And the facts are, you know, no one's really confirmed if she called him or not. Don't think she did. But she did say on Twitter that she would like to dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. And that much is true because Trump has openly called Maduro the dictator. He has called him a dictator, and he's been against his regime and in support of her. So, you know, she likes to thank him for that, but she didn't say she wants to dedicate it to him or give it to him or anything. It's just plays into his strongman stereotype of being an authoritarian, which is kind of ironic how he's criticizing a dictator, you know, being himself a wannabe dictator.
And it's like, what would you get the fucking Nobel Peace Prize for?
Yeah.
It's like, what, deporting thousands of people, most of
No,
which
he
don't
said
have
he ended
criminal
like
record?
he
Or-
said he ended like 7 wars since he
Yeah.
came into the presidency, but
He's ended 0, and there's a
I don't
fragile
know, guys. Maybe next
ceasefire
year.
right now.
yeah,
He literally ended no wars, and it's like,
Yeah.
you think you get the Nobel Peace Prize? Look at how violent ICE is and how they're just scooping up tons of fucking people, literally just going through neighborhoods, snatching up a bunch of people who call this country their home, taking them away from what they see as home in the community that they contribute to. And you're like, oh, go, give me the Nobel Peace Prize. Like, no, fuck you, dude. That wasn't a peaceful thing to do. You ripped them out of their homes and tried to throw them back in a country which is oftentimes not safe for them, sometimes expressly so, and they go against the court order and send them there. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think he said that at the UN General Assembly or whatever it was, basically that he ended 7 wars, and he also said, addressing the UN, said all your countries are going to hell. And then there was a clip of 2 leaders of 2 foreign countries, I can't remember which, but they're being sarcastic, and they're saying, how dare you not congratulate him for ending these wars, being completely sarcastic, just making fun of him, which is funny because he insists that America is not the laughingstock of the world, which is exactly what it is, and he has only made that far worse.
I don't know too much about this story. Trump, he'll just like claim whatever merit he sees fit that day. Mm-hmm. It's funny, but of course it's also good to remember that, like, we need to sort of combat these lies and this rhetoric. So I do like that how much people are talking about just like the terrible things going on with the ICE raids, these untrained goons running around. So
yeah, they're in normal clothes.
Yeah, it's real peaceful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Normal clothes, masks on. They don't identify themselves, which is illegal. We mentioned that last time. Mm-hmm. And then I just read another story of this guy. I can't remember what state it is, but he was outside of work, about to go in, and ICE agents came over to him and surrounded him and said that I can't remember. They said something that didn't make any sense to him. And they failed to identify themselves. They threw him on the ground. They threatened to give him the dog, whatever that means.
What the?
Not good. And then he was in jail for hours, a legal citizen, till his lawyer came through, and then he was released the same day. But, I mean, if they were arresting real illegals and, that wouldn't be people that are here illegally, getting rid of them in a humane way, maybe that's not a bad thing. I don't know. It's a very gray area. You have to be very careful about how you do that. But they're arresting citizens who were born here. We're the only first world country that has birthright citizenship and are one of the only. And they were born here. You're taking them off the street. I mean, I don't know how they come up with this information to go after someone with legal citizenship status.
Yeah, and I mean, like how the Supreme Court said that if someone just looks illegal, so if they're like a brown person, then that's justification to sweep them up. I remember what I was going to say, how Trump says that the countries in the UN are like desolate and like they're all shitty and that sort of thing. It's like basically everyone in the U.S. wishes they lived in one of those countries for their education system, for their healthcare system, for, their lack of violence that you see in America. It's like the only people who want to stay in America are the fucking immigrants that he's taking out who are literally doing nothing but contributing to this country. So it's like, come on now.
Yeah, absolutely. It may not even be like very efficient to remove people who do not have the proper documentation, who did not go through the legal process, but have been living here and working here and paying taxes. And for criminals, it kind of just seems cheap to try and export people under the guise of them being illegal, or to just export them to like other countries' prisons, because ours already have way too many people. So
You reminded me of a clip I saw of Charlie Kirk. He was in, I think it was South Korea, and he was some public space. There's like a bunch of public beanbag chairs, and like it looked really nice. People go to there, like read and relax and stuff. And he was saying that, you go to somewhere like that, there's no crime, there's no rapists. You don't have to. You can leave your stuff and come back, and it'll still be there. There's no tweakers. It's just so clean, and it's just funny that he says that in a very socialist country that has public health care and a lot of the things that he condemns, and then he comes to this country and says, oh, look how great it is. The whole thing is just kind of
Trump
ironic.
said this?
No, Charlie Kirk.
Which country was this?
I think it was South Korea.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
Which is so dumb because South Korea is like developed and actually has some good social programs and that sort of thing. So to say, it's funny because that is like a difference. If you want to say that's communism, if you want to see real communism, go across the border to North Korea. It's like, how are you going to compliment South Korea like that and then say communism is bad when that communism that you're identifying is like part of their government, but you're saying they're better than the other communists? It seems like there's a fundamental difference and one's not communist.
It's like something you call anything you don't like.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah,
you just don't even care about what it means.
Yeah.
Right? And just like an easy way to get rid of crime is to make sure that people can easily get the basic things they need to live and have just a satisfying life.
Yeah. But the far right thinks that's communism. And I saw a video of this guy from China who lives there, and this was after the Texas floods that killed like 200 people or something insane. And because our aid was so incredibly terrible and lagged behind. And he was saying, China is a communist country and they have public health care and everything's run by the government and that sort of thing. But when terrible events like this happen, they immediately bring out aid. And he was comparing, I can't remember the exact numbers, but they had a really bad flood and storms and stuff, and they only had a couple people die, under like 5 people die. And, comparing to the Texas floods where I think it was less severe than the storms that they had, and we had like 200 people die. So, maybe communism isn't the answer, but, our system we have isn't working in some cases. And you can't just attack communism and say, or socialistic agenda and say, this is terrible. It's like, well, this has proven to work. come up
Well,
with something else.
And even FEMA and that sort of thing, they compare that to socialism. Like that basically is, if you want to talk about government-funded programs, that is socialism.
Yeah.
That a lot of people say they don't like, but
Yeah. And communism in itself, by definition, isn't inherently bad. A lot of since the Red Scare, everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people think of it as this terrible way to run a country. But my economics professor, she has, I think it's Czechoslovakian heritage, and her grandpa or uncle or something, someone who grew up over there, grew up in a communist country, and he came here and was so surprised that people can just pick their own job, and he thought that as a bad thing, because over there, no one's unemployed. Everyone has a job. Unemployment rate is 0. Everyone gets food. He thinks that's a good thing. So it's just kind of what lens you put on it, and it's not all bad.
Yeah, and I think it's important to sort of try and zoom out and, I guess, recognize maybe the parts of your own perspective that have just been influenced by who your parents were, where you grew up, and not to say that it's always wrong. Just know that, like, there are, I guess, other sides or other perspectives to things. And I'm sure that, I would still have some criticisms of, these Eastern Bloc countries back during the mid 20th century, right? But can't just, it seems like it's still easy, even so long after the Cold War, to sort of be in this American exceptionalist mindset, because, our largest foreign adversary and its allies all sort of used communistic symbolism and just generally vaguely as a basis for their sort of method of governing. So we have just associated that with being anti-American in general.
And there was a candidate, he was an independent candidate for the Senate race in 2024, but he was like a conservative, and he was literally against FEMA. At this time, it was like there were some really, really bad storms. I don't think
What
it was
state?
Utah. He was
Utah,
running
okay.
right here in Utah. We had our Senate debate watch party where we met Caroline Gleick after. That was the candidate. But this dude was in the debate. He was the independent candidate, and he was against FEMA. And he was talking about how that's like socialism, whereas like something that doesn't even work as well as it does in other countries. We're saying you shouldn't have it at all. We should remove it completely, make the situation even worse, and then have I don't know, like it's almost like libertarian or like almost anarchistic, like dealing with storms that way rather than having this federal force.
You can't do that.
And that was one of the worst things he could have said in that debate, because this was amidst people literally dying and drowning and all that kind of shit.
You don't have FEMA, and then what? Like the independent firefighters are supposed to go out and
Yeah,
save
exactly.
people? I mean,
Yeah.
Really, what's your alternative there?
So not even, he didn't even want it reduced to just a purely state level thing, just like hyper localized municipal.
That's what the conservatives say a lot.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think it's actually good to sort of have this massive pool of resources controlled by the federal government to aid in helping people in the event of catastrophic natural disasters. Sometimes we see better examples of this or better scenarios playing out, like in, I think a couple years ago, there was an overpass, a bridge of a major highway near, I think, which city was it? Was it Philadelphia? Any of you remember?
I don't know.
Mm-mm.
It was either Philadelphia or a city in the area, but for once, I think, I should have looked this up, but I'm pretty sure it was the process, the rebuilding process of the bridge was essentially overseen by, I think, either the city or the state of Pennsylvania, and it was finished within 1 or 2 weeks. Either that or it was just an almost unheard of amount of time. It was really fast because they were able to do it instead of doing the usual, like, all this sort of less efficient, more expensive, contracting out to private construction firms.
Yeah, and when they need to move it, when the government has, like, I think you might be thinking of also, like, in Maryland, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, or that's another one. The cargo ship ran into it and it destroyed this whole bridge.
Oh, that was Baltimore, right?
Yeah. So, and they fixed that in, like, record time as well. So it goes to show when they really want to do something, they can do it. So when someone says, oh, the government can't do that, it's like, yes, they can. And that goes for both ways. The government will do very bad things that you might not expect them to. And they could also do very good things you might not expect them to be able to. It just all matters who we get in there and what policies we create. And I think,
absolutely,
like, one thing where conservatives are like, oh, anyone who says, government, we're here to help, is bad. It's like, that's literally just propaganda, because you're convincing yourself that the government can literally never do anything good for you. And they know that's not true, because they themselves either are on Social Security or Medicare, or they expect that once they get to that age.
This is a lazy way of thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have just one last topic. So it looks like multiple airports around the country are refusing to play the Kristi Noem video that blames Democrats for the shutdown. Utah is not, or at least Salt Lake City is not one of these airports, because when I was going through it just a while ago, I saw the video. So I think it's very good that people are responding to this by not playing this video, because it's literally just far-right propaganda. That's exactly what it is. And the fact that airports are saying no to DHS, we're not going to play this, I think that's a great thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. See, I'm not, don't know too much about this one. How would it have been broadcast? Just like on,
it's
like
just like
TV?
they have TVs around the airport, and they just play the video there and have her talking about stuff.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just, was it something that would be like on some sort of like popular TV channel like Fox News or something?
Yeah, I mean, they probably play it on Fox News, but I think they just have the video on some sort of rotation or repeat. I saw it above TSA where she's talking about it, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't seen the video, but from what I hear, she blames Democrats for the government shutdown, when literally, yes, in the Senate they needed 5 more Democratic votes that they didn't get. But why did they not get those votes? They didn't get those votes because they were planning on, with their budget, going along with slashing $800 billion from Medicaid, and also letting the Obamacare extended subsidies expire. That's why they didn't vote onto it, is because they wanted the Republicans to say, oh, no, wait, we're not going to take away all this health care. Let's give it back in exchange for funding the government. And then they just say, nope, it's the Democrats' fault. No, Republicans, you guys are in the majority. You should have brought the Democrats together. You have the presidency. And it's like, and you didn't. So congratulations. It's your fault.
And it's telling that they would want to push this this video and stuff and all this rhetoric, because polling has shown that American voters do either it's about half or some majority are blaming Republicans for this. And I've also seen Republican politicians go on TV and say that, like, what the Democrats are doing, they're, by keeping the government shut down, is it keeping, barring people from going to work, and it's halting programs that people depend on, right? Which is just so hilarious, because these are the same things that they want to eliminate, that they want to cut as part of their funding agenda.
Yeah.
And yes, and I think this point you made one of the last times where they might not even really care if a shutdown happens. Yes, I think I did see also another thing that said it wasn't by a whole lot, but yeah, Republicans and Trump are faring worse on the perceived shutdown. But Trump and them could use this, say, oh, well, the government shut down because the Democrats yank, let's take this government service out, this one out. Oh, it's all the Democrats. Now they've eliminated a bunch of services they wanted to eliminate.
Yeah.
And there you go.
And I just saw a headline, too. Trump said that he's prepared to ride out the shutdown, which means that same as the deal with Hamas, it's a take it or leave it deal to the Democrats. You know, you accept our terms or we're just going to keep on going with the shutdown and keep blaming you as we do it.
Yeah, and I think it just doesn't really work when you have a Republican president and you also have a Republican Congress. It's like, I don't see how their mental gymnastics could work. Yes, for some Republicans, they'll hear that, oh, they needed 5 Democratic votes, it's their fault. Once they actually hear, oh, no, they are fighting for healthcare. Oh, no, then they're lied to. Oh, they're fighting for healthcare for illegal aliens. And so then that's how they justify it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall it's a lose for the Republicans, this is. I do, hopefully that's not just hopium and that's actually the truth. I don't think they'll continue the shutdown indefinitely. At least that'd be fucking crazy. And he'd probably get so unpopular, it'd be like undeniable at that point. It already kind of is. Like he's at what, like 41, 42? And
according to him, he's about 50.
Yeah.
But.
It's like a lot of these numbers, these are like the numbers Biden got post his horrible debate performance when everyone was hating him and being like, who is this vegetable on my TV? You know, Trump is at those numbers now, and he's several months into his presidency, but when you compare it to other presidents, it's like they were way more popular. And he's not even dealing with the same, I guess, things that Biden was. Like, it's almost unfair with Biden. He's just so old and everything is so easy to just be like, discredit him and I'm just not going to listen to you at all. Whereas with Trump, he doesn't necessarily come off as like that demented or anything like that. But still, just because the policies are so bad and everything, he's just becoming so unpopular and the economy's not getting any better and all that. So I think it is a lose for him. And the Republicans headed for defeat in 2026 and hopefully 2028. But it's up to us to make sure. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. Yeah, and it what I also get from just generally his declining in popularity is that how easy it is to forget how malleable American voters can be.
Very true.
Like Ethan said, like he's at like the same approval rating that Biden was it after that that debate performance during the last election, right? A lot of people, there's always going to be his base, people who always vote Republican, who care a lot about what he at his core maybe represents or his policies, but a lot of people also just like didn't feel like Biden was doing much and didn't really delve into it or think too much about it. And so we're seeing a lot of those people kind of realize like what we've gotten ourselves into. But I think it's also the responsibility of really influential people and, well, ideally everyone, every politician in the Democratic Party to really be active in countering the rhetoric about, this is the Democrat shutdown or what you're doing is socialist. We need essentially just to, what am I trying to say here? I guess, think about why did Biden perform so poorly, right? It wasn't that his policies were worse. If you ask the average person, they would have been like, "Oh,
Sleepy Joe."
I guess, right." Or like if you separate the policies away from any figure, like for example, most people want like some level of universal health care or Medicare for all. It's a very, very popular policy, but a lot of people just like only really think about the face or like the vibes,
Exactly.
right? So that's why I think it's so important that we sort of elevate more younger and charismatic figures within the Democratic Party.
That's why during 2024 when Biden was in the race, like I even did a whole speech in my speech class. It was about why you should vote for Biden over Trump. And it's way easier to defend Biden on a policy standpoint and everything he got done.
Yeah.
But then once you put in the situation, when I'm talking about this in front of the class, every single person in that class is thinking Biden has no idea where he is right now. He's demented. So everything I'm saying about everything he got passed and all that, none of it really matters. It all just goes in one ear out the other because you're like, well, what? He probably just signed a paper. He didn't do anything. He's just a vegetable. He's old. And it was so hard to get past that because I did that in the speech class, and I also was just posting a bunch of clips of Biden because sometimes he would say something like bass, and you're like, oh, yeah, then put some the cool music behind it and put it up, basically almost like making my own propaganda to get people to vote for Biden. And I actually made quite a few of those videos, and some of them went viral. Not viral, but like tens of thousands of views. And it was weird because I was trying to just promote him in this way, but it almost never really had any credibility because everyone's just like, even Democrats know deep down, yeah, he was not all there. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that he wasn't all there. And I think there's actually quite a few immoral things that his staff were doing. And Kamala Harris would even agree with me that he should not have ran for re-election. But yeah, even though like, and it sucked because I didn't think he should run for re-election because he was too old and everything for it. But I think his legislative record, if he wasn't too old, would absolutely merit another term. So then it was kind of like, but since he was running anyway, I'm like, just vote for him rather than Trump. Like I'd rather Biden be president right now than Trump.
Yeah.
And he has like stage 4 cancer. So it's like,
yeah. I mean, I also going back to the booth, the table, I talked to the other guy of college Republicans about Trump, and he was very much one of the, I support his policies, but not him as a person. There's a bunch of those types of people, but I talked to him about Trump being a pedophile and what he thinks about that, and his immediate response was, well, he's not convicted, so he probably doesn't believe that he's a pedophile anyways. And then he also brought up, is that better than sniffing little girls' hair, which, there was that video of Biden. I don't even know what he was doing, being a weirdo. But, it's just like people get confronted with something and they immediately just turn the attention focus to something else. Well, what about this? This is also bad. It's like, hold on, answer my question, talk about what I was addressing before we move on. You can't just say, well, he did it too.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, when people say stuff like that, it's like the Trump supporters will defend Trump until the day they die. A lot of the stuff about Biden is actually fabricated, and there's not actually truth behind it. But let's say there was, and that they say that he molested his daughter in the shower, and that's stuff that has been discredited. Whereas it's like, okay, sure, if he did that, he should go to jail. Trump should go to jail for the same thing. And also, he was found civilly liable for raping a woman named E. Jean Carroll and then defaming her for it. And he has a bunch of other allegations that he, with Jeffrey Epstein, raped a 13-year-old girl in his New York apartment. And it's like, oh, he wasn't convicted, yeah, but he was accused and charged with these kind of things. And what do you think it needs to happen for there to be a charge? There needs to be at least some evidence there. That's why he got all those charges. They never made it to actually him being convicted of it, other than the 34 counts of the business fraud case in New York, just because it didn't get to that level. The only reason why he's not convicted of more things is because he became president and everyone kissed his ass and was afraid to actually stand up to him at that point. So, yeah, of course he's not convicted of anything. He became president too quick. Yeah.
That is, that is unfortunately what a lot of people remember about politicians is scandals and sort of whatever, how charismatic they may be or not, just maybe something that makes them a little weird, right? So we can't just rely on everyone to know what the right policies are, or so like put up a politician that says, I support this really popular policy, you kind of have to. And unfortunately, you can't just be right. You have to be good at communicating why you're right and communicating why the other side is wrong. And the most effective way to do that might just be to throw some mud, get some dunks in, call him a pedophile on the Senate floor. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. It doesn't matter what policies you have if you can't communicate them effectively, and Biden wasn't able to. Kamala Harris arguably was, but she was in the shadow of Biden after everything that just happened, so she really couldn't differentiate herself in that way. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all have a nice day or night, everybody. Have a good one.